Sharon, it's good to see you.
It is good to be seen and it's good to see you.
I am genuinely interested personally in this interview because there's things that, as I've looked at a little bit of your background and seen some of the
Mhm.
things that you do, I'm looking forward to learning a lot more about that today. Um, there's things that I know that would be very helpful in my own life. So as I hear you talk about how you're addressing some of these things, I'm excited to hear some of these answers.
Oh,
So
good.
thank you for taking some time today. We're going to have some fun and
I
I know
love fun.
absolutely, yeah. I mean, you've got a terrific smile. You're ready to go. You got a great laugh, and I hope that we can do that through the interview. And I know there's a lot to talk about with what you do, how you do it, why you do it, how you got into it, and I'll ask those questions for sure. But if I could please, I want to talk just a little bit about you before you tell
Okay.
us what you do, and then we'll expand on anything you want to. But what I was learning as I was doing some looking at your background and so forth is that through hypnosis and meditation and your trust in a higher power, you've released what I think are incredible things that most people would like to get rid of, and that is social anxiety, panic attacks, depression, that's a biggie, binge eating, excess weight, allergies, migraines, chronic pain, and obsessive worry.
Oh
And
my gosh. And that doesn't even list them all.
so the list
Yeah.
just goes on, huh? So this is kind of just like a snippet of the things.
Well, I think a big part, those are some pretty big things just right there.
Yeah, enormous for sure. Like, I mean, just people in my own life and, the general public seems to be dealing with a lot of these.
Yeah, and I think we're taught to search for the answers outside of ourselves, looking for the right doctor or medication or right activity. And oh my gosh, years ago, when I discovered that the power of my thoughts could actually change my health,
Mm,
and I consumed different authors like Louise Hay, Heal Your Life. And it I didn't realize how I had released the social anxiety and the binge eating. It almost felt like it just kind of melted away. But then as I got more clarity just with the hypnosis, I understood that it just happened to disappear when I started to regularly meditate.
mm.
And that kind of clued me in, not to just the power of our thoughts, but the power of letting go of those fears and anxieties and opening up, whether you call it God or source or universe or infinite intelligence, that higher power, that there's this magic energy that's there for us. And I've had clients that they don't have a belief in a higher power, but they have a belief in maybe good or well-being or the energy of love or being kind, and they can get to those same places. So yeah, just amazing the possibilities for each of us.
So was this before your experience when you started to look at that and you're looking at Louise
Yeah.
and all this information? This was before you just,
Well, not all of those, but the binge eating and the social anxiety, that was back when I was either 19 or 20 years old.
oh,
I'm not sure of the timeline. And that's when I started to do the regular meditation.
okay.
And the stuff just started to disappear. And I had some beautiful spiritual experiences. And then fast forward to later, before the hypnosis, I had dropped into this deep depression. I'd had panic attacks, all kinds of different health issues. And through this fellow called Jack Boland, he was a unity minister. He really helped wake me up, where he said, Pay attention to your thoughts, that you're and at the time, there was a serial rapist, that was targeting women and, then killing them in our little community where we lived.
Mm,
And my daughter had some life-threatening health issues. She was autistic, though we didn't know that back then. And I did. I felt like I was being attacked and I was flooded with fears. I had all kinds of health issues. And he really woke me up to it's like I was attacking myself with my fears and anxieties. It's like I
Mm,
was paralyzing myself, freezing myself up. And I was the one that really brought myself into that deep depression. So I learned, and it's like, okay, I'm willing to stop doing this. And for me, and everybody doesn't have to feel safe in the direction that I went, but I I use like the prayer of protection. When I'd start to go to those thoughts of, oh my gosh, how am I going to handle this? All this stuff is going on. And I would just kind of feel that sense because I'd had different spiritual experiences as a child too, where for me, it would flood me with a sense of well-being and peace. So it's like I learned to
mm.
not ignore the thoughts, but to show up for those negative thoughts and to give them the soothing and the comfort and the relief that they were calling for. And that got rid of migraine headaches.
Mm.
Uh, what I don't know if it was really fibromyalgia, but it was like I was achy and in pain all the time. And those cleared up. And then when I decided to become a hypnotist, I cleared up I was dependent on an inhaler because of airborne allergies.
Mm.
So off and on, it's like I always had to have my inhaler just in case during certain times of the year. And I made a hypnosis meditation for myself, basically just giving myself my fears, my worries, my anxiety, soothing and comfort and relief. And I listened to it for every day for about 3 months, and it went away. I had one more allergic episode. I think it was like a year later, and I just brought out the recording again, and I haven't had it since. And I kept my inhaler around because those that have been dependent on an inhaler will know it's a little bit like a security blanket because breathing is so important. But eventually, yeah, I have no inhalers in the house, and I feel really peaceful and comfortable. It's not
So
even
what
part of my life.
so having what kind of let's go back. There's so much there that let's unpack it a little bit because all that's super interesting to me of how you started the process of changing your thoughts before you became a hypnotherapist, right? So you actually were
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
you
absolutely.
were a young lady. This is what you experienced as you were a 19-year-old kid, basically, started to learn how this worked, took it in. So you already were prepped and ready to, like, what did that make it easier for you as you went into hypnotherapy to be able to go, I understand how powerful these thoughts are.
I don't know if I really understood how powerful it was when I decided to do it, but um, so I had homeschooled my kids, and they had graduated and moved out, and it felt like it was time. I'd had another cleaning business, but I wanted to do something that I was really passionate about. And I remember reading a book, and they were talking about this fellow who was a hypnotist. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's it. That's what I'm going to do. So, in some ways, it's like I just knew that was for me, even though I had never been hypnotized
Mm.
before became a hypnotist. It wasn't until afterwards, but I just knew it just spoke to me, lit up. And that was the path I was going to take. And during my first, and I knew he was my teacher. I trained under this fellow, Gerald Kine from Omni Hypnosis Institute. And I had a year-long training, and he said, get out there and just practice and bring people into hypnosis. Well, I live in this tiny little town uh, in Idaho, and it's like I was thrown into the deep water. I had this one fellow who came to me who had ankylosing spondylitis, and I apologize if I'm not pronouncing that right, but he was bedridden,
Mm.
and his body it was an immune disorder, and his body was attacking himself, and it was just he was continually going downhill. And so he came to me just with the hope of pain relief.
Mm.
Well, a year and a half later, he's back to work.
Wow.
He's in fact, my husband just ran into him because he lives in our community. And yeah, he's walking upright and moving around. I mean, he got his life back.
Wow.
It's like, wow, that's from hypnosis. That's amazing. Just by changing, he got off, he said, most of all his medications. I think he said he was down to like one medication that he does, but he reversed the illness and he got his life back. And I had another woman, and her husband came to me, and this is the same training period. So I don't think I really got it until I started to do it with other people. And her husband had said his wife was given a year at the most to live
Oh, wow.
because of weight and health issues.
Gosh.
And now, fast forward, it's like I've been doing this, if we could count the practice year, for 20 years. And she's doing wonderfully.
Wow.
It's yeah, it just kind of blows me away. I don't think people really get the potential
Yeah,
of
I certainly don't
what
either.
is possible with this stuff. Even other hypnotists, I don't think they really know how far you can go. And that doesn't mean that it's not going to lead to uh, doing herbal medications or hiking or taking yoga. In fact, I think it leads to more healthy, mindful choices. But
Yeah.
just by changing your mind, to me, I've experienced it and I've seen my clients experience it. You become a different person. You, it doesn't exist anymore when you change that mindset. Not to say that you can't bring it back,
Okay.
but
Lifestyle
yeah,
choices, diet, stuff like that. Like that's the stuff that could,
well,
are you talking about thought?
mental to me, it's all, it starts at the base. It's the mental.
So if
As you think, so you become.
for sure. So if you
And
go ahead, Sharon.
so that might lead to healthier foods or exercise. I know with I had a back that went out. This is when I was a hypnotist, and by then I'd learned a lot. And um it it led me to make a recording for myself, and I really did change my mental mindset from the hypnosis, but it also led me to do yoga, which I think was really valuable for building up my core, and that really helped my back a lot too. um, and it led me to not go see a chiropractor. I'd been told it's like, oh, your discs are disintegrating or something like that, and it's only going to get worse, and you'll have to come back once a week. So to me, it's like always start with the mindset. Before I even went to a doctor, I would want to go to a hypnotist first, which not
Wow.
many people think of doing.
Right, right. Or if they even think about putting them together, they would still put them together and
Yeah, yeah,
automatically think that you would still need the other things. And that's what I'm thinking. That's been my thought process too, as I continue
yeah.
and with this.
Well, we're trained up that way. We're pretty much bombarded with that message.
Well, and I think it seems like if there is something going on with our bodies, and I'm just speaking from personal experience, connecting with people and just being alive and hanging out with people and talking about life, is that it's a lot of things that are factors of where we're at with our health. We know we could be doing different things, eating
Yeah,
differently, cutting certain things out of our diet, exercising. So if you're still, like, let's say, engaging in a particular kind of diet that you know isn't good for your body, but you're struggling with it, do you think that by changing the mental, the way you process the thoughts around it is more impactful than, let's say, stopping the thing? Like, does it become the thing where, yeah, you could still engage in it, and I'm not talking about a controlled substance or something that's like that, you shouldn't be doing, obviously. I'm talking about like a particular kind sugar or something. uh,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like you could still have a dessert and enjoy that and be able to have the sweet things, but it doesn't have the same kind of effect because
I love that question. I have worked with people for losing weight. and or sugar addictions and binging. I haven't worked with all food issues. Like I haven't worked with anorexics and but binge eating, I've done a lot with that. And people wanting to lose weight. And I have seen it's not about what you do, it's about what you believe that you do, which not many people would believe that. So for instance, I had this one woman come to me, and because I want to tap, I'm not here as a hypnotist. I believe it's not my deal to push my agenda on someone. It's not my deal to decide the path they should take or what they want to do. But she believed that she needed to eat more complex carbohydrates and these healthier foods and exercise, and then she would lose weight. She did. And others, it's like, oh, I believe this, or this is what I think is healthy. Because when I've worked with people with food allergies and I've seen them release them, that it's no longer a part of their life. Oftentimes, like this one woman, she couldn't eat salads and nuts and all the wonderful things that go on salads. It would, yeah, she had all kinds of different health issues because of that. And what we found out is we go back to the time when she first started to feel the symptoms, and it was her ex-husband was in the restaurant and she felt super sick and queasy. It's like, well, of course you're not going to digest your food when you feel all stressed and anxious. And I think of another client right now. She had a whole bunch of, go ahead.
Yeah, before we go to the next client, because I want to make sure I fully understand the first one. So she was unable to process those kind of foods moving forward because going back to that one time she had that experience in the
Well, I can't say for sure definitively,
but that's
but
what
I
yeah.
can say she when we finished, she did not have that issue. She was eating foods that she couldn't eat before, and she was feeling comfortable and digesting them. Um, and so moving forward, we started to associate the positive good things with the foods and to listen to her inner guidance. It's like, well, don't really eat when you're feeling stressed or anxious. You really want to come to the table when you're centered and peaceful. I mean, that's good advice for anybody.
Sure.
That because our bodies shut off when they're in stress and anxiety. They're focused on survival. So that's not going to be good for digestion. That's and yeah, so it completely went away. It just kind of blows me away. And then uh when I'll say lack thoughts lead to lack actions.
Okay.
So let's say somebody has a sugar addiction. Um that to me, usually the first place I start is it's like what is it satisfying that it's like, does it give you pleasure? Yes. Okay, so they crave pleasure, of course. We all want pleasure and we want comfort, and a lot of times food and sugar does give you that initial good feeling, but then it can lead to the guilt and the shame. So that by changing, like this one woman I worked with, she was maybe 300 pounds overweight and had a lot of health issues, and she binge ate. Well, we worked for a year until she no longer wanted to binge anymore, because we were addressing the things that were going on, like the need for uh, to feel loved or for satisfaction, and so when those needs were met, then she didn't want to binge anymore. So
Hmm.
so to me, it's going to change, because just like with your body, 1 + 1 = 2. You change one part of the equation, you're going to get a different result. And so if you're mentally thinking differently, you're going to get a different result.
So it does start with identifying where that's coming from. To your point, like if you want the equation, you need to know what one and what the other one is. so that if
Well,
it,
I guess we start with the goal, and I always like to start with the vision with a person. It's like, okay, do you want to be happier?
mm,
Would you like to feel more inspired? So to acknowledge that you want to go for that better life.
okay.
And not everybody does. I think of one woman that came to me. She said she was allergic to coffee and chocolate. Well, what we found out in the hypnosis was she felt like those were bad for you. And so the throwing up and getting sick kept her in balance, and it made her not overdo it. And it's like, well, would you like to do that another way? And she's like, no. She
Really?
liked her system. So she didn't want to have, because I think that's really important. You don't want to give anybody suggestions that don't resonate with them. To me,
Right.
I always like to spend a lot of time to make sure that I'm, clear on where they want to go and what they want to do. Uh, so
It-
people will have that. It's like they'll put things, you use the programming that you have. And so she used what she had to keep herself in check. And she felt like coffee and chocolate were bad. And so she had her system.
and is that true? As long as she thinks that, that will be true for her system. So is there another way other than if she wanted to hold on?
Well, I would think so.
I mean, is
But
there another way to help her, even though she wants to hold on to that? Like, is there another solution?
well, so I don't remember where we went or what we did, but I would imagine maybe I just helped her to feel at peace about that. And then um to not feel deprived, because you don't have to have coffee or chocolate to live a rich, joyful life. There's so many other yummy things. So, and I don't really remember what I did with her. But I imagine that's probably where I went. It's like, okay, well, I'm here to support you and how you want to live life. And let's just go to a place where you feel, satisfied and appreciate what you can have. And
So that's fascinating to me. So
yeah.
you can take somebody's existing system or thought process, like you work with the way people think to help them. So you're kind of using the way they think to
Oh
help.
yeah. So I want to find out, well, what's working for them? What's their wisdoms? That they'll have certain, I mean, there's all kinds of ways to get to the same place, and we're all going to have limiting beliefs.
Okay.
I mean, I have limiting beliefs. I have stubborn parts that I'm still working to kind of release and let go. But that's part of the joyfulness and
Part
the
of being
fun.
alive.
If we don't make it such a big deal, so that you don't have to be perfect to get to where you want to go. Um, but yeah, so I'll try to work with, it's like what they're willing to do or what they're not willing to do. Just like somebody comes to stop smoking and then you learn that they don't want to stop smoking.
Mhm.
They're not willing to check, they're not willing to change the way they think about it. So to me, it's like do no harm and just always leave them better than when they came. So you might not be able to take them to where they want to go if they're not willing. To me, free will, that's key. We have free will.
And now is this a baseline for all of hypnosis, or is this something that's unique to the process and the system that you use?
I'd
Is
say I'm sure there's lots of hypnotists that are out there maybe that do it like me, but it does seem like from the circle of hypnotists I've connected with that I'm unique, but I don't know all the hypnotists, so that I do it in a different way than a lot of other people. Yeah, to me, that's what I got years ago. It's like to follow the joy. And
mm,
so following the joy doesn't mean that you're going to lead this hedonistic life and eat chocolates and I don't know, do whatever you want to do. It's about your thoughts. So if you're feeling fearful, to just move up. I love the emotional guidance scale,
Mhm.
where you may not be able to jump up from depression to happiness, but you can go to a better feeling place. You can go to a softer, lighter thought. And so, yeah, I think I
So when you help people do that, Sharon, is it something like you had mentioned, these things lasted for you, and maybe there was a couple times where you'd go back and listen to the your own voice give you the instruction on how you're going to overcome something. If Are these typically lasting changes with your clients where they can come in with something and
well, yeah, that's a good
be done?
question. Um, so it depends. What I discovered, I worked with alcoholics. Like, for instance, at first, when I first started off years ago, I would do a minimum of like 6 or 10.
Set.
And they may totally have released the alcohol, not felt the urge for it, but then I would see them in our little small community at a party, bombed out of their mind. So what I learned is you have to do the work
Yeah.
before you can get there. And to me, for alcoholism, they have to be able to go through, like this one woman, Lisa, she shares her audio testimonial at my site. She was a drinker from teens, and she came when she was in her 60s, and
Mm,
she had lost her job because of drinking. She had lost her driver's license because of drinking. Her boyfriend was saying, "Hey, this can't go on. I'm going to kick you out unless you get your act together." I mean, and she was facing jail time too.
wow.
Um, so
Lineup.
I couldn't change that. I mean, maybe another hypnotist could. I'm not going to say what other people can do or can't do, but we worked together for a year and I think three or 4 months. And it was a systematic process. And I don't trust somebody has made that change. She had people that died and that were good friends during our time together. And to me, that's kind of the test. Do they want to go back to the alcohol?
Okay.
Because that's kind of their go-to. Like when she would celebrate, when something good happened, she drank. When something bad happened, she drank. Because
Like the
this
old
is somebody
line.
that was hiding whiskey bottles, drinking from when she got up to late at night, not remembering, blacking out, not being able to remember conversations. So it took time to turn it around. And I've also seen people where they're like, "Oh my gosh, they worked with me for 3 months." And it's like, of course, I'm going to keep this up. This has changed my life. And then maybe I check in with them and they're still maybe at a much higher base than when we started, but they
Mhm.
kind of slip back because it's like anything. Could you imagine if you just exercised for 1 year and then that was going to do you for life? So to me, it's a way I changed my thinking back when I got rid of the migraines and turned around the depression and panic attacks. I started to change the way I think, and that was a conscious choice. So to me, I'm about empowerment and really becoming that conscious creator. When I say the conscious creator, consciously creating in the now moment, going to that softer, lighter thought, going to those more expansive thoughts that we always have a choice.
It is interesting in that moment. Yeah, we do have a choice, which is can get us into trouble, or it can make things quite easier, right? Like that very next thought can change the rest of the day, could
Oh
change
my gosh, yeah.
change a week, it could change. It's amazing, like just that choosing what to think.
Yes, and it can be hard, especially if you have a strong pattern of thought going. And unless you can stop that, and that's why I teach self-hypnosis. And I think that's such a powerful tool. It's been a powerful tool for me, my clients, from people that have just learned from my YouTube tutorials to stop those negative thoughts. I've read different researches where they say 80% to 95% of our thoughts daily are negative.
Wow.
Like, wow. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but those are some of the
But
research.
even if it's 60,
Oh, I know.
right?
But just even thinking about my own life, I mean, if somebody asked me one time, well, why are you you're such a positive person? And I said, well, that's because I'm such a negative person. Because negative thought, I've had to meet those negative thoughts because it's so awful. I mean, to me, I went into a deep depression. I had physical ailments because of my negative thinking.
Mm.
But I can also be positive, and to me, that's usually a sign. If you're really good at being negative, you can be really good at being positive because
That's a
it's the
good
same
point.
skill.
Oh, that's a
And
great
your
point.
mind is accommodating so that you start to talk about why you feel so sad. And then your accommodating brain says, oh, we've got lots of stories. We've got lots of things that you can plug in there to feel sad. But it's the same on the other side, too. It's like what you focus on, you go to, so that you're telling a joyful beach story and to somebody, and then they've got a joyful beach story. And that so it can work on our behalf too. But hopefully people that work with me, well, I know they do, um, where they don't make the negative emotions an enemy. I think so often we think, oh my gosh, I'm sad, as if it's a permanent situation or it's saying something about them as a person. It's like it's just a temporary emotion. It's not supposed to take residence up in your body. It's like instant hot water on tap. They're available as you need it, and it's there to guide you. Whether it's to take an action, you're crossing the street and a car comes out of nowhere and you feel fearful, well,
Yeah.
then you use that adrenaline and you move because you've learned that you need to get out of the way of things that are
So,
bigger
yeah.
and heavier and, moving fast towards you. But it's not supposed to stay there. You don't want to be on edge all day long. You want to let it go and release it and carry on. Or like you get too close to a hot wood stove, you wouldn't go to the doctor and say, oh my gosh, I've been having all these intense, horrible feelings when I touch my wood stove and my burner. And could you turn it off? It's like, that's your guidance. So that negative emotions are useful, but they're temporary. And so it's not a question of if you're going to have negative emotions, but how long you stay there. And
Okay.
I've heard it again and again from clients where, oh, I'm such a bad person. I'm having negative emotions. It's like, no, you're not. And if you're afraid of your negative emotions to show up for them, I find people, it's like where they go numb or they hide away and they don't even really know what they're feeling.
Hmm.
I remember years ago when I had that depression before the hypnosis, I allowed myself to have all my negative feelings. It's like, oh my gosh, God didn't send down a lightning bolt. I'm okay. So it's like I allowed myself to have every horrible thought I could think of. And then we had a wood stove and I would burn them and let them go. So it's like I kind of had this cathartic time to just really prove to myself it really is okay. It's normal. It's human
Have those
to have
thoughts, to
negative
have those negative thoughts.
emotions. Yeah.
You'd like literally write them down, pitch them into the fireplace.
Yep. Yep. So I would write every negative thought. And I mean, we don't want to, I wouldn't recommend that you stay too long into it because then you're turning on that mechanism. Remember, the brain is so accommodating. It's like, okay, we're thinking of all our horrible, awful thoughts, and you don't want to spend your whole day doing that. But to me, it was a feeling of acceptance. I was going to a place where it's okay. It's okay, Sharon, that you have thoughts of hatred or anger or scared or fearful, or to just give myself permission. And one of my favorite techniques that clients that have felt judged for having negative feelings is it's okay. So if they have a terrible thought, they tell themselves, well, it's okay. I love myself anyway. Not from a sarcastic place, but from a loving place. And that's been so healing for so many people where they'll do the self-hypnosis technique, the sigh breath, and it's like, well, that's okay. I love myself anyway. That's okay. I'm hysterical. That's okay. I've been unreasonable with my husband and gotten on a rant. It's like, that's okay. I love myself anyway. It's okay.
So
I'm being crazy and a nut. So I just kind of lay it all out, and usually often it'll just give me relief. It'll make me smile. And then I can come back to that centered and peaceful
and
place.
that's where you can change it. That's the moment where no matter
Yeah.
how mean you
Yeah. And that's what's so beautiful about hypnosis. It's such a beautiful state for us to let go of those attachments to those negative patterns of thought, to let go of those old stories that we tell ourselves, that it can happen so much more quickly than in the conscious state.
so that's what like that is one of the major benefits with hypnosis is that if people are saying, for those that are listening, saying, yeah, that sounds great, but I don't know, like it's so hard,
Yeah.
like, because it's two questions. The first one for sure is why is it so difficult to to grab onto that positive thought, positive emotion, feeling when you're spiraling? What is it that is so? And I
Well,
just
you've
say,
got your accommodating brain. And it gets going almost like a fast moving train, or you get going in a car and you're going 2 miles an hour, you can stop pretty easily. But if you're going 100 miles an hour, it's going to take time to stop it. And we've got patterns of thought and habit that we've had for some of us that are older, like me, decades. So that there's a lot of energy and momentum. And then there's that part of us, um, self-righteous,
mm,
stubborn, where we forget, oh, that's right. I want to feel good. I want my life to go well for me. Well, how's this working out for you? Holding on to the self-righteous feelings about the person that wronged you,
mm,
holding on to anger and rage over something you have no control over. How's that working out for you? Is
mm,
it actually working in your life? Are you spending time doing the things that you love? Are you focused on your goals and dreams? Are you in a closed off perspective of I can't instead of I can? I mean, creativity comes because we have limited resources,
mm,
that if you have all the resources in the world, it's like you don't have to be so creative, do you? But
yeah.
I think it was this movie where uh, what was the name of it? They're going up into space. It's supposed to be of a real journey that happened, and something breaks down in space and they need to bring the astronauts back, but they have to use only what's on the ship, or on
Oh,
the rocket ship,
it's like
because the spaceship, because and what was it?
Apollo 13. Is that what?
Yes, that was it, Apollo 13. Yeah, a very cool movie. And so they had to be creative.
Yeah.
Like that's when creativity really comes. And I think so often we think, well, we have to have all the resources, people have to act the right way. We have to have all the right conditions in order to enjoy life. And that's not true. That we need to turn on our creativity and go to those beautiful, joyful thoughts. And I've seen that again and again with people, like this one woman, her mom was on the last days of her life, and she kind of started to go off in a bad direction, because I'll say, no matter what, it's always better to go to a lighter, softer thought. It's always better to feel good no matter what is going on. That doesn't mean I always do it, that I'm not human. and I've seen it, like her mom's dying. People could say, well, she's dying. Of course she should feel awful and sad and stressed and pressured. But because she was willing to feel good and to go to those lighter, softer places, it was beautiful for her mom. It was beautiful for her. She completely changed the situation. So I love that.
It's there's you've got great examples for sure. Like you have these testimonies and these success stories, and it's wonderful to hear it because you can hear about people that are having their lives changed because of it. So what is it that like it seems to be misunderstood sometimes by people and certainly underrated because you're talking about these incredible transformations that people are receiving. What is it? What's the hesitation that you've seen?
Yeah, I just misunderstood the fears. So, of course, a big one is the fear of somebody else manipulating you. Things like movies and hypnosis stage shows haven't helped.
Yeah.
So that fear of somebody manipulating you, doing things that you don't want to do, fears about having to relive your childhood or past trauma, fears of being embarrassed or shameful about things that happened to you, about things that you've done or thought. It's like, oh my gosh, what if she discovers my deep, dark secrets? So that when people feel safe, when those fears are addressed, and they can see that hypnosis is very different than a hypnosis stage show, that those people, they know they're going to be made fools of, or they have that desire to kind of step outside themselves, and then the stage hypnotist is trained to kind of quietly send the people that aren't going to cooperate and go along without the audience even noticing. I mean, they have different things, like they'll do exercises and just like, oh, this is just all part of the show, but they're weeding the people out. They're looking, okay, who's going to be a good volunteer. It is very much different, but we can be manipulated. We can be controlled because we do give up our free will all the time.
Doesn't this happen just when we're like, because aren't we being hypnotized all the time
Oh,
without?
I think so. So that in hypnosis, I hope you do find a hypnotist that is going to respect you. I mean, there's some people that they are in this very open-minded state and they'll just like go like the wind. Oh, you should believe like that. It's like, okay. Oh no, you should believe this. It's like, okay. Or then there's those people that are so closed off and stubborn. I think of this client, he came for pain relief, and I proved to him that he could have that. And it's like, well, will you do this? When you in your life, I would be a fool not to. Well, he didn't do it.
Mm,
Where we're so closed off to protect ourselves. I mean, there's reasons for it, to protect ourselves and keep ourselves safe.
yeah.
So that one of the first suggestions that I give in hypnosis, I'll tell people to be like a duck in water. And what I mean by that is the duck doesn't have to worry about pushing the water out because its feathers are coated in oil, and oil and water don't mix.
Mm,
Well, to give yourself permission to go to that beautiful centered place, because when we're centered and peaceful, we're not so susceptible to stupid ideas. It's
yeah.
from fear that we make the bad choices, it where we're not thinking clearly. So I'll say, give yourself permission to just let any idea that doesn't resonate, that doesn't feel right, just beat off you like water off a duck's back, because it's your life, it's your journey. You're not here to please me. You're not here to do what I think you should do, but to live your life, because free will is so important. It's like all of us, we want to be free. So I think it's important to go to a hypnotist that gives you that space to have, well, not that they have to give it to you, but somebody that's not going to. My daughter went to a hypnotist that I was not happy with. The hypnotist had been trained under the person I trained under, not the year-long course, but so I thought it would be a good bet. And they put in these negative suggestions. well, your skin problem's going to get worse until you do this or that. It's like, oh my gosh, that's horrible. I can't
But
believe that you did that. Um,
mm,
so
is it,
I would just like anything. I mean, be choosy in who you go to. Um, but then I'll say to people to be like a dry sponge placed in water. You don't have to effort, but if I tell you one of your wisdoms that you've told me that has blessed and worked in your life, uh, even if you don't believe it in the moment, let it soak up like a dry sponge in water.
mm,
So to give yourself permission to actually take the things and let them become a part of you that you know work and bless your life. And if you're iffy about it, just let it beat off you like water off a duck's back, or to know that you can change your mind too. So I try to give a sense of freedom in the sessions to let people know, hey, you are free. You get to decide. Just like there's people that they let a medical care provider or a lawyer or somebody that they think is an authority, like a minister, uh, become their guidance and power. I think of a woman who came to me for fibromyalgia. It was in this little kind of test demonstration in the Syringa women's group. Um, and she was completely free of fibromyalgia. Well, I guess it came back a year later, and her minister said, no, that's from the devil.
mm,
It's like they don't even mention hypnosis in the Bible. But and then I do know ministers and priests and people high up in the Catholic religion too that uh use hypnosis, because the fellow that I went to worked uh with people in different religious organizations that were high up in the hierarchy, so that we can give our power away
okay.
often. And just like what kind of things are you consuming where you don't even realize how you're feeling old or ugly, and there's all these advertisements about models that are airbrushed and slim, as if you have to have a certain body fat content to have love and enjoy life.
And
So
is
that,
that in fact being hypnotized? Like, is that?
oh, absolutely. Yeah, because it goes down into the subconscious with repetition is a beautiful part of hypnosis. To me, hypnosis, and they don't really know, but a state of focused intent,
Okay.
so that
They
my
don't know.
goal is to take people to beautiful, deep, relaxed states. But that doesn't mean that they don't, they'll, it's like if they feel any kind of mental discomfort or physical discomfort, I tell them, just relax on a part that feels comfortable and it'll just melt away. Um, that it to me, there's you could get a million different answers what hypnosis is, and I've started to understand it a little bit different than how I was trained. I think it was like the bypassing of the conscious mind going into the subconscious. But this is what I've seen: somebody come in, they're like, nope, I don't have a problem with that, or that's not an issue, or that's not me. And so I just get clear. Well, what is your vision? What is your goal? Would it be okay to go here and here? And then you take them into the hypnotic process, and the stubbornness melts away,
Hmm,
and they can see clearly, and they have a different, higher perspective. And I've even seen it when they've then come out. It's almost like they've, nope, nope, I never had that belief. I never thought that way. You just did it. It's like an hour and a half ago. But it's like, that's okay. Um, yeah. So to me, hypnosis can take you, my goal is to take people into these beautiful states where they can release and let go and let in the new programming, kind of like on a spot on a stage, a dark stage where you spotlighted something to highlight their wisdom, because wisdom is experience. You've experienced it, you know it. so that I'll ask people questions of different successes and of wisdom they know, so that we can go back to that feeling, so that we can highlight it and bring it more prominently into their life.
So when you say with people, gosh, there's just so much going on with people in their lives, and so many, to even get to the point where they're willing to say, okay, I'm going to try this. I don't know what it is, or they would be willing to admit they thought it was one thing and they're becoming to realize, hey, this could be something completely different. I'm not afraid of this. This isn't what I've seen on television, the movies and so forth. Are there, I know one of the things that you do is the self-hypnosis, some self-hypnosis techniques. Is that intended, from what I'm hearing through us having the conversation, is that that's intended really to help people instantly? Like if you need to get
Oh
a
my gosh, yeah, but it has to be practiced again and again and again to make it a real powerful tool. But I think of one woman, her dad had died, and we had just done a joy shop. I call my workshops joy shops. She had just done a joy shop, and she had learned this new technique that I called the calm breath. And it was time to go to bed. She was just racing. Her whole nervous system was jangled. And she did the calm breath. And she said, "Oh my gosh, Sharon, I dropped off to sleep. It's like in minutes. And I had this deep restorative sleep." Her words might have been a little bit different, or I think of another client who she's a private client as well as in my women's membership. So she's practiced these tools a lot. She was having, so she had somebody coming to stay with her for the weekend, that one of her family members was bringing, and intensely, I think hate and would be really good words to
the
describe
person
her
that was going to
feelings.
stay with her.
And she started to think about that. And I think she said it was her left side of her body just started to completely Charlie horse, and the pain was so intense. And she did the self hypnosis technique. And I don't know if she did the sigh breath or the calm breath, but I think probably the sigh breath. And she said it just completely melted and went away. But
Hmm.
then she had to make a choice. She could have brought that back. She could have used her free will to go back to the hateful thoughts. But she reminded herself, "Oh, that's right. I want to feel good. Feels good to feel good. I don't want to have a Charlie horse. I'm going to welcome them into my home. They're coming anyway. I've already decided to let them come, so I
Don't
might
leave
as well
the
make the best of it."
house.
And what's really cool now is fast forward, I don't know how many, like a year and a half later, um, the whole relationship with that person completely changed, and she see them as this really beautiful soul.
Wow.
Uh, s yeah, so to go to my YouTube channel, Svensson Hypnosis, if people wanna try out that there's 60-second or less tutorials
Yeah.
to do the self-hypnosis breath, and then I have longer tutorials and different hypnosis meditations if you wanna learn to go really deep into it. But what I do is I take the breaths that are just so normal, like, we can do it right now, just take a
Yeah.
beautiful deep sigh.
Beautiful deep sigh.
Yeah, just take a side, just so it's like, don't try to make it right or do it like I do. Just kind of think of, well, what does it feel? Because people start to tense up. It's like you just can't get this wrong. It's always good to breathe.
Yeah, I feel
Uh,
good about it.
and it's just a natural mechanism within us
Okay.
that can bring in that nice centeredness and peace. So it's helpful already. And how it becomes a self-hypnosis tool is you do the sigh breath as I guide you into a meditation so that you start to associate more relaxed and comfortable and good feelings, what I call kind of higher energies. And when I say higher energies, like that feeling of lightness in your body, or a feeling of feeling playful or happy or creative, and to start to associate that so that it can become such a potent, powerful tool in life if
Hmm.
you use it and you apply it. Like, for instance, my dog got poisoned and went into convulsions and died.
Oh gosh.
And I just love this dog so much. And I went to these super negative, intense, awful feelings. And again, it's getting past that stubbornness. It's like making the choice, using your free will. And I had to say to myself, that's right, I want to feel good. I don't want to feel this awful feeling. This is horrible. Yeah, I don't want to figure out who did it or
Mm,
go down those lines of thought that just feel awful. And I did the self-hypnosis. And because I've been practicing it for so long, I just had this beautiful, joyful energy that flooded me, just like
mm,
opened my heart and made me just really feel the blessing of having this dog as a gift in my life for it was like a little over a year. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm so blessed. I had this gift. And I was able to see all the beautiful things that I had received,
mm,
kind of the lessons of life or wisdom that this dog had taught me. And yeah, I didn't go there anymore. It was just completely gone so that it can be.
game
And
changer.
I know people have told me they've emailed me or Facebook messaged me and said, like this one guy said, I don't have anger anymore. It's like
Wow.
I let it go. And he didn't tell me exactly what he was doing. So I don't know if he was doing the self-hypnosis tutorials or the hypnosis meditations. But yeah, that repetition, just like I told you, where I made that recording for the asthma and allergies and listened to it, that repetition, but it can also happen kind of instantaneously too. And a lot of that's belief. Like some people believe it has to take a long time or you have to struggle. And other people, I have this one, I call her like my super client. She'll come and it's like, boom, boom, boom. We got rid of the asthma. We got rid of the fibromyalgia, the fear of going over bridges. It's like, and we did this all, and then probably other stuff too. I don't remember in one session. It's like,
Wow.
oh
Wow.
my gosh.
Because she had the belief that she could do it in a session. You think like back to belief, like she had the belief of like, yeah,
Oh yeah,
I think
she
this can
did.
happen. Let's go
Yeah,
ahead
because
and bring it
she's
out.
a friend and she lives in my community, so I see her. But it did start to come back and she forgot. I'm like, well, remember, Jan, you
Mm,
were totally free of the fibromyalgia. Why don't you just do hypnosis? And now back then I don't think I did the hypnosis meditations. But the people choose. Some people choose, they don't follow through. They don't listen to it. One woman who had this phantom pain, um, I don't think we completely released it on that first session, but yeah, it was dramatically different by the second session, but she didn't follow through
mm.
with the hypnosis meditations. Just like, oh, I went to the gym for a month and I felt fantastic. Well, it's like you need to make it a part of your life, and maybe you do that in different ways. I have seen many of people go on and take it way further, which is so delightful too.
No, it's terrific. Like you said, if that's the belief they have and they have the free will to be able to say, I want
Yeah, yeah,
to
and it's none of my business. And then I found one thing I would like people to know too. It's like hypnotists are not counselors. They're not mental health therapists. Where our realm is the power of the mind. Because I've had people come to me that have done like counseling therapy for like 15, 20 years. And it's like, it isn't a good fit because
that have been in.
they have a belief. And I'm not saying, if somebody's getting help, I'm not at all dissing those occupations in any way. I think there's all kinds of different paths for people to get to the same place, but where they were trained up, it's like, no, this is supposed to take decades. It's like, well, wait a minute. You're telling me you've gone for 40 years and it's actually worse. And so she was not open to change happening rapidly. So there's some people, it's like, well, they have free will. They get to decide. They get to do it how they want.
I think it's great to be able to hear that it can be done that fast for people to be able to pull that out of here that, hey, if
Well, and I love working with, it's like whether it's is Christians or maybe law of attraction or a person of faith, because they're willing to kind of let go and maybe trust in this higher power, so that it can happen fast. So it's like they have more of an open mind,
okay,
for it to happen quickly. I'm
yeah,
not saying that the other people are closed-minded necessarily. I don't mean that, but we do. We have, it's like we're trained up in different ways, and we all have our different limiting beliefs. And I definitely have mine. I'm still um, learning and growing, but I've experienced, I know that changing my mind can change my health because I have experienced it. And to me, it just like blows me away, like with my back thing. And I've had it where like I'm doing yoga mala, and my wrist, it's salutation A and B, up and down, for those that are familiar with yoga mala. And it felt like my right wrist, "Oh, I can't do it anymore, feels like it's broken." And then I just switch my focus to my other wrist, and then it completely goes away. So
hmm,
change your focus and you change your life experience. And I've seen that others have done the same thing too. Or just even like this woman that was a super athlete, and she came to one of the joy shops, and she was doing Iron Woman or something like that. And she's like, "Oh, Sharon, the achiness is not going to go away because I'm working out
ah,
so heavy." And that's just the deal. That's just part of it. And so I proved to her. It's like, well, let's see if I can prove you wrong. So,
challenge
uh,
accepted. Huh?
pardon?
Challenge accepted.
Yeah, challenge accepted. And it completely went away. But yet she still wasn't buying it because then she said afterwards, "Yeah, but in some ways I like the pain because it's telling me that I'm having that gain."
Hmm.
It's like, well, yeah, we all have, it's where she felt like, "Oh, I'm making progress. And because
Yeah.
I feel the pain, I know I'm making progress."
Yeah.
Well, and she
I
gets to do what she wants, just like that woman who wanted to stay allergic still to the chocolate and the coffee. It's like, okay, yeah, we all get to choose our own path. However, somebody may find it wacky or strange, that we get to do it our own way.
and I appreciate you saying that because it I'm sure gives people a little bit more of a comfortable feeling going they're in control, which is what which is terrific. They're in control of that part of the journey. You're helping them along the way. And I'm sure your faith in what you're doing has to be increased just by seeing so many
Oh my gosh,
in
yeah.
front of you, like
Where,
right, literally right in
yeah.
front of you. I mean, you got
One guy who walked away with the flu, full-blown symptoms, and then walked away from one session without it.
I mean, and they're talking minutes or an hour or something. I don't know.
Well, it was, I don't know, it was probably an hour and a half.
But even if, even if
Yeah,
it's hours,
just amazing. Yeah. Yeah, where it turned out that he started to feel the symptoms when he started to feel fearful about taking his dog in to get fixed, because it turned out years ago he'd had a dog that had gone in to get fixed and then died from a complication from the surgery. So that when he started to have these tightening feelings in his throat, he looked outside himself. Well, people are getting the flu, so I must be getting the flu too. And then he manifested those full blown symptoms. It's
wow.
so then we went to a place of, chances are pretty good your dog's going to be fine, that, for the most part, surgeries go really well. And um
I think that's it's wonderful just
yeah,
to
it's
hear.
amazing.
You've got all these examples of a lot of. I mean, there's a breadth of just of all these different circumstances that people are dealing
Yeah.
with. It's
Yeah,
not
it's
just
so
for one
fun.
thing. It's like when I mentioned all the things in the beginning of the interview, you're like, yeah, there's a lot more, and there is, and I'm sure we could go on for
Yeah.
like another
Yeah.
couple hours, and you could.
Yeah, you'll just have to stop me because I just love
I
talking
mean, I'm sure
about
we could. Like
hypnosis.
you
It's
could
like I
continue.
want everybody to know.
Sure, and that's what's great about being able to talk about this and to be able to understand it a little bit more and to be able to hear that to break down some of the barriers of why people would be hesitant in even coming to somebody for hypnosis to say,
Oh,
and
yeah, and
authentic and say, hey, here's my
yeah.
concerns. I just don't know what this is. And to spend time, answer some of those questions, and then get into what you know is going to make, a life-changing difference for them.
Yeah, so and then with the trauma too, I know I used to do regression. I do things a little bit different now that I found a little bit more powerful than that. But even then, if a hypnotist goes to a situation, it's to get the information and get out. It's not to create any more kind of pain or suffering. It's the opposite. Hypnosis should be taking you to that place of more relief and release and comfort and lightness and peace. So it shouldn't be, well, if you're feeling painful, then that just means it's working. And that's not to say sometimes too people do go through those kind of confusions, but it's more because they're going back and forth. And I've seen that where, wait a minute, all these changes has happened and it's been so easy. Have I been an idiot or a fool to have done it this other way for so long?
Oh,
It's
well,
like
I'll raise my hand on that one. I mean, I'll be at that. You're
but
speaking to me on that one. No
yeah,
doubt
me
about it. Like,
me
you
me too. And I do I don't want to put anybody that does things in a different way because I have those things too where it's like, well, that's really stupid or yeah, yeah, we're
know.
all
Yeah, yeah,
human. We're learning,
I
figuring
can
things
relate to
out.
that one. Well, I'm grateful that you've been sharing these, Sharon, and it's you know, it's encouraging to hear that there all of these possibilities for people and to learn more about it. Tell us about you've got some really exciting stuff coming up with the
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Prosperous Woman
So,
Hypnosis for Abundance and Wellness and Impact Summit. Tell us about that.
yeah, so I just want to say I do work with like teenagers and both sexes. Well, all sex, yeah. So I work with pretty much everyone, but the summit coming up is for women.
Okay.
It's a virtual summit in April, April 23rd and 24th, Wednesday and a Thursday, and it goes all day, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Mountain Time. And there's 5 hypnotists that are coming together, all with their own unique and beautiful specialties, and it's free. So if
Oh,
you want to discover and try out hypnosis, this can be a beautiful way to do it.
hmm.
If you can't make it to the whole day event, that's okay. You can't register until April 13th when we're
Okay.
going to open it up. But I'm sure we'll have below in our description the link and how people can register or just learn more about it and the speakers. But we have Sherilyn Long, somebody near and dear to you. And we're all so unique. We do it all so differently, and I love it. I love like essential oils and herbs and massage and hypnosis, and she does it all. So she's a master herbalist. She does the massage, which of course she won't be doing. And then she combines hypnosis with it. So it's like, wow, I think that's so sweet. And her specialty is for women with inflammation and chronic autoimmune disorders. Am I right?
Yes.
It's like, wow, so cool. And then we have another hypnotist who, Jean Andrus, she works with women with menopause to help them navigate those symptoms and to get relief. And she's been having a lot of beautiful success. We have Michelle Walters. She offers something unique and different too. She's going to do one on harmonious relationships and another for being more successful in your business. So she works with a lot of leadership people. She works with, I guess, organizations, corporations, that kind of thing. And then we have Kimberly Lynn, who she's kind of this, I don't know if I should say this word, this like kick-ass woman, just really filled with vibrancy and energy. And she's about confidence. She works with women and she's worked with a lot of women that have been in abusive relationships. And it's like they're their confidence has been tamped down, and she works with a lot of entrepreneurials, and she's gonna, but really, whether you're an entrepreneurial or not, she's gonna do a couple of dangerously confident sessions. And let's see. I think I have one more. We've gotten Sherilyn Long, we've got Jean Andrus, Michelle Walters, myself, and Kimberly Lynn. So I've mentioned everybody. So I guess I did cover everybody.
Oh, it's going to be
Good job.
terrific. And yeah, good job, no doubt about it. And like you said, there'll be some certainly in the description more information about that. Where are people going to be able to find you, Sharon, so they can go look at the videos you mentioned for self
Oh
hypnosis?
yeah. So yeah, go to Svenson Hypnosis, S V as in violin, ENSON hypnosis. And that's my YouTube channel. It's smushed together with one word. I've got all kinds of, I've even got sleep hypnosis meditations. Hypnosis is in that theta state, and beautiful times to listen to a sleep hypnosis meditation is when you're dropping off to sleep, or when you get up in the morning. Like I'll wake up early and I'll listen to it. So, I mean, talk about effortless and easy to have change happen while you're sleeping. How many modalities can do that for
Yeah,
you?
no doubt about it. Yeah. Hey, talk about being efficient.
Yeah, and then I have svensonhypnosis.com. And I've got a newsletter list where I nurture my community with like a joy message and give you links to my latest hypnosis recordings, as well as I do a live hypnosis session that I live stream on YouTube that people can join in, and I'll give a reminder of that. And then I
Wow.
also have a free gift. So you sign up for my newsletter, get the free gift, then you'll get links to the YouTube channel too.
No, it's terrific. What a terrific way to be helping people and finding ways for them to engage in your work and
Yeah,
doing and
yeah,
familiar with
yeah.
you and can reach out for more information to learn more about other ways that you can help them. Sharon, I'm
Yeah, yeah, and I even do a free discovery session, and that's on my website too, that people can sign up for if they'd like.
no barrier of entry. You can come in and learn.
I try to make it
Healing's one free step away. Like it's
come.
so, hey, Sharon, that was a lot of fun. I really appreciate learning more about what you're doing, and I think it's terrific to hear those testimony stories and the lives that have been changed, not only your own, of course, and hearing your path along the way, and be able to hear your passion for it too. So, thanks for spending some time with me today. I'm grateful that you took some time, and I look forward to seeing you again at the summit. So as a reminder, that's April 23rd and 24th, and around the 13th, registration will open. And
Yep.
we look forward to having a terrific summit. So thanks, Sharon. I really appreciate your
All
time.
right. Thank you so much.